Hello, Chairperson. Good morning, honorable members, and good morning, colleagues. Chairperson, the committee is a subcommittee of 7 members, Chair. Right now, I've noted 5 members who are present. It's yourself, Chairperson, Honorable Peters, Honorable Josephs, Honorable Hill Lewis, Honorable Abraham. I'm checking if is there any other member who has just joined us. Honorable Moletane has joined, Chair, so we are 6. It's Honorable Njadu only who has not joined thus far. So the meeting is correcting, Chairperson.
Thank you. We can proceed. And the Honorable Njadu just sent me a message. He will be joining us later. Honorable members, we are all welcome again. This meeting has taken too long to sit. A lot of things intervened. One, the budget, and as you know, all the finance committees, once the budget is there, we just get seized with that budget. But when we just thought we were finishing with that, then you had the lockdown, and when we thought we were still dealing with that, then we had an adjustment budget. So the finance committees find themselves in that program. But I think here we are now, and I think we need to run with this process and try to finish it as soon as possible. There is an agenda in front of you. Can we proceed on the basis of this agenda, honorable members?
Yes, Chairperson.
Honorable Joseph. Okay, thank you. Let's proceed. So there are no other apologies except for Honorable Njadu. Can I refer the members to the minutes of 29 October 2019? Honorable members, are you there?
Chair, do you want us to adopt?
No, I was just given an opportunity to open them, and then after that I was going to, yeah. Can I have the mover for the adoption of the minutes? If there are no corrections.
Okay, can I move, Chair?
Honorable Abraham has moved for the adoption. Any seconder? Honorable Muletsane seconds the adoption of the minutes. Thank you very much, honorable members. Minutes are adopted as a true reflection of that meeting. Can we go to the minutes of the 3rd of December 2019? Minutes of 3rd of December 2019.
I move, Chairperson.
Honorable Peters move for the adoption of the minutes of the 3rd of December.
I second, Chairperson.
Honorable Joseph seconds. Minutes adopted as the true reflection of the meeting held on the 3rd of December 2019. Thank you so much, honorable members. Perhaps just one thing I forgot to mention is just to thank you for being agile enough to attend this meeting today. We're not given much time, and usually it's not the day of being in Parliament. Now, honorable members, we have got if you have just read the minutes as you did, you would see that there were things that we had agreed upon, and there's a staff which is supporting us, and the Advocate Tau on agenda item number 4, presentation on A-list candidates. Advocate Tau, I would request you just again so that you remind the honorable members about the process that we have gone through, not just the A-list candidate, as what has happened and how have we arrived where we are. Let's say if we're to do that. But again, before you proceed, I would again like you to introduce the support staff of the subcommittee. Advocate Tau.
Good morning, Chairperson, honorable members. From the support team, we do have Mr. Nodada, who is also supporting the committee together with Estelle. I've seen Alan Wicombe also in the meeting. I've also seen Mr. Plelan Dromus, the content advisor, is also in the meeting. From HR, I will request Ms. Khabir to introduce the team, but I know from legal services, I've seen Advocate Jenkins in the meeting. So with your permission, Chairperson, I will request Ms. Khabir just to indicate who from HR is also in the meeting.
Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning, honorable members and colleagues. It is myself, I'm Shanaz Khabir. I'm from Human Resources. I'm representing HR. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. With your permission, maybe we can just give a chance to other sections that are here before I continue so that we don't omit anyone.
Please. Agreed.
Thank you. Anyone from other sections?
Good morning, Chairperson. Felicia from Parliament Communication Services.
Okay, thank you, Felicia. Advocate Jenkins.
Sorry, good morning, Chair. I hope everybody is well. I'm here, Chair. I've just put a little note on the discussion regarding the issue of quorum. I think the committee can proceed. This committee to help members.
Okay.
Morning, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable members, and everybody who's attending, can I request that we all mute our microphones? There's sound which is disturbing. Thank you. Okay. Okay, Advocate Advocate Tau.
Thank you, Chairperson. I will request Mr. Nodada or Estelle to share the screen just to indicate how the process unfolded. There is a very short presentation of few slides. Thank you, Chairperson. I would want to go to slide number 2. Slide number 2, Chairperson, is just to remind honorable members about the key points of the advert that helped us in the process of shortlisting: the minimum qualification requirements, master's degree in finance or economics, or public finance or related field, with PhD as a preferable. Then minimum experience required, 10 years, relevant experience as an analyst or a researcher in a related field, and 2 years at senior management level. The third point is shortlisted candidates will be subjected to positive security clearance by the South African Police Services and State Security Agency. Citizenship and qualification check will also be done by the 2 agencies. The next slide, the applications. The number of applications received is 53. 17 applicants could not finish the application process online. 39 applicants completed their applications process online. Out of this 39, 13 applicants met the minimum requirements, and 8 applicants are recommended for shortlisting. The next slide, the profile of the 8 candidates in terms of race and gender, Chairperson, it's 4 African males, 1 African female, 1 Indian male, 1 white male, and 1 white female. In terms of qualifications, of the 8 recommended candidates for shortlisting, 5 candidates have PhDs, 2 candidates has 2 master's degrees, and 1 candidate has a master's degree. This concludes just the introduction, Chairperson. With your permission, I would pause before we now go to the slide or the document that shows the 8 recommended candidates, but I'm handing back to yourself for guidance, Chairperson.
No, that's fine, Advocate. I think continue. If there's any issue that you want to pick up, we'll pick it up once you have finished. You have finalized your presentation.
Thank you, Chairperson. The candidates have been listed here.
Why don't you start with the 13 candidates who met the minimum requirements? Do you have that one?
Yes, I can talk to that slide.
Please do that one.
The candidates are listed in terms of their surnames. The first one is Chafua DF. It's an African male with the South African ID indicated. The candidate has got an MBA and MPhil in Development Finance from the University of Stellenbosch, and the candidate has got 13 years of experience. It is listed there, Chairperson. For the sake of time, I'll just indicate that the candidate also has produced 7 research papers. We can go to the next candidate. The next candidate is still MD, African male with South African ID indicated. The highest qualification is Masters in Commerce from University of Cape Town, 12 years experience. And we have indicated how the 12 years was arrived at. And the candidate has 4 research papers produced. The next candidate is Dr. Janjis DJ, African male with South African ID indicated. It's an internal candidate. The candidate has got a PhD in Public Finance, University of Birmingham, MPhil in brackets LLM in Trade, Business and Investment. The candidate has got 11 years of experience. We have indicated how the 11 years was arrived at, and the candidate produced 5 research projects. The next candidate thank you, is Kaywood L, African female with the ID, South African ID indicated. The candidate has PhD in Law and Development in MPA. The candidate has got 16 years experience. The candidate has published a book and 5 research papers. South African ID indicated. Next candidate. The candidate has PhD in Law and Development. Thank you. It is Kumar Lobby, African male with a South African ID indicated. The master's degree in science, is MSc in economics from the University of Zimbabwe. 19 years experience. We have indicated how it was arrived at, and the candidate produced research papers and also indicated that he played a role in the establishment of the PBO while still being the chairperson of FFC. The next candidate from the University of Zimbabwe, it's Mapangwa M, African male with South African ID indicated. The candidate has got MPA from Mancosa and BCom honors from UNISA. The candidate has got 10 years experience, which has been indicated how we arrived at. We have not seen any research papers produced. The next candidate is Mbanjwa FL, African male with a South African ID indicated, MCom from University of Cape Town, 12 years experience. We have indicated how the 12 years was arrived at. The next candidate is Mohammed S., Indian male with South African ID indicated. The candidate is an internal candidate. The candidate has got PhD in economics from University of Massachusetts, MA in economics, Williams College, Massachusetts. The candidate has got 26 years experience. We have indicated how the 26 years was calculated. The candidate produced 12 research papers that were published. The next candidate, it's Mostert JW, white male South African with South African ID, PhD in economics, University of Free State, 12 years experience, and we have indicated how the 12 years was arrived at, and the candidate has produced 32 published research papers. The next candidate is Ngoveni V, African male. The South African ID is omitted on this slide, but on the next document, Chairperson, it is been included, and apologies for omitting it on this page. The candidate has got MPhil in taxation, University of Port Elizabeth, 11 years experience, and we have indicated how the 11 years was arrived at. The next candidate is Orlandi N, white female, South African ID indicated. She is an internal candidate. She has got MPhil in economics policy and also an MBA, 14 years of experience. We have indicated how the 14 years was arrived at. Thank you. Next candidate. Thank you. Plachis D, African male with South African ID indicated. The candidate has got PhD in management administration and policy from WETS, MPhil in management and administration and policy, University of Cape Town, 19 years of experience. We have indicated how the 19 years was arrived at. The candidate produced and published research papers in journals. The total is not indicated. That is what we captured from the CV. The next candidate is Stuart IS, white male with South African ID indicated, MCom in economics, Stellenbosch University, 13 years of experience, and we have unpacked how the 13 years was arrived at. The next candidate. Okay, that concludes the 13 candidates, Chairperson, who met the minimum requirements. Thank you. With your permission, we can go to the next presentation, where we are now presenting the 8 candidates.
Just before you get into the 8 honorable members, so that we the 8 candidates that are being presented now are the candidates which are being recommended by the team to the subcommittee. So that these are just suggested candidates. They'll tell us why them and not others. Please proceed.
Sorry, Chair. Dennis here.
Yebo.
Yeah, I think the 8 that we're going to hear from now, but I think you said, you mentioned the word 8 when you started your sentence, so is it...
Come again?
Is it the 13 or 15 names that the advocate went through now, name by name, a total of?
13.
13, yeah. 13, yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's 13. Now, he's moving from 13 to 8. Advocate Tau.
Thank you, Chairperson. We have here Chafua DF. The candidate is recommended for consideration for shortlisting on the basis of having the MBA and MPhil, that is the 2 master's degrees, and the experience is 13 years. And what we have captured is from 2015 to date, the candidate was a Chief Director, Department of Public Enterprises, June 2013 up to August 2015, Director, Department of Public Enterprises, Economic Research and Policy Analysis, February 2010 to May 2013, Senior Economist, National Treasury, the Republic of South Africa, 2002 to 2004, Economist, National Treasury, Zimbabwe, and then 2009, Senior Economics, National Treasury, Republic of South Africa. And the candidate has produced 7 research papers. The next candidate is Dr. D.G. Jangis, African male. The ID is indicated, is an internal candidate. The candidate has got PhD in public finance, University of Birmingham, and also MPhil in LLM in the field of trade, business, and investment law from UWC, and also MSc Finance and Economic Development, Oxford University. The candidate has got 11 years experience. From 2015 to date, the candidate is a Deputy Director, Finance, PBO. From 2014 to 2015, he was Finance Analyst, PBO. From 2010 to 2011, Senior Advisor and Analyst in Finance and Governance Consulting, University of Northwest. 2007 to 2014, Facilitator in Graduate Program, University of Northwest. 2008, 2010, 2013, Public Finance Senior Advisory, and 2008 to 2011, Research Project Leader, University of Oxford, Brookes, and University of Birmingham, and 2008 to 2009, Audit Manager. And the candidate has produced 5 research projects. The third candidate is Kaywood L, African female with South African ID, PhD in law and development in MPA, 16 years of experience, calculated as follows: 2015 to date, senior researcher, South African Local Government Association, 2012 to 2014, program manager, 2008 to 2012, municipal budget analyst, Gauteng Treasury, 2007 to 2008, deputy director, Eastern Cape Treasury, 2006 to 2007, deputy director, KZN Treasury, 2005 to 2006, local government expenditure analyst, Western Cape Treasury, 2003 to 2005, assistant director finance, Department of Justice, April 2001 to April 2003, accounting clerk, Department of Health. The candidate has published a book and also 5 research papers. The next candidate is Khumalo B, African male with South African ID, MSc in Economics, University of Zimbabwe, 19 years of experience, from 1991 to 1991, lecturer, University of Zimbabwe, 1999 to 2002, research coordinator, FFC, 2002 to 2008, Program Manager, FFC, 2010 to 2016, CEO and Acting Chairperson at FFC, 2017 to date is in consulting. Then on the side of publications, we have noted that he said he played a role in the establishment of the PBO while still chairperson of FFC. The next candidate is Mohammed S., Indian male with the South African ID, indicated is an internal candidate. He has got PhD in economics, University of Massachusetts, MA in economics, William College, Massachusetts. 26 years of experience. From 2016 to date, he is a deputy director, PBO, 2015 to 2016, associate professor, University of Western Cape, 2006 to 2014, senior lecturer, VETS, 2009 to 2014, advisor to minister, DTI, 2009 to 2012, member of board of directors, Development Bank of Southern Africa, 2010 to 2014, board member of South African Journal of Labour Bulletin, 2008 to 2013, member of Economic Advisory Council, 1998 to 2000, project manager, DTI, that is Department of Trade and Industry, 1994 to 1998, researcher, Minerals and Energy Center, 1992 to 1993, researcher, Wits University. The next candidate is
Advocate, you are muted. Advocate, you are muted. Yeah.
Okay. I will start.
Mr. Mostert.
Mostert, yes. A South African male with the ID, PhD in economics, University of Free State, and MCOM, University of Free State. 12 years of experience from 2017 to date, director, macroeconomic analysis, Limpopo Treasury, 1 January 2012 to 31 December 2016, chief economist, Department of Economic Development, Limpopo, 2006 to 2011, chief director, Department of Economic Development, Northern Cape, April 1996 to 31st July 2006, regional academic manager in the Free State region of Technicon SA. 1992 to 1996, lecturer, Technicon SA. The candidate has produced 32 published research papers. The next candidate is Orlandi N., white female, South African ID indicated. She is an internal candidate. She has got MPhil in economics policy and also an MBA from University of Stellenbosch. She has got 14 years experience from 1 January 2014 to current. She is the budget office economist. PBO, 15 March 2008 to 31st December 2013, fiscal policy revenue economist, Western Cape Treasury. 1st November 2005 to 14 March 2008, public finance expenditure analyst, Western Cape Treasury. 1st April 2005 to 31st October 2005, financial management, Western Cape Treasury. October 2003 to March 2005, senior state accountant, Western Cape Treasury. November 2001 to October 2003, fiscal services Senior Financial Administration Officer, Western Cape. The next candidate is Plagis D, African male, ID indicated, PhD in Management, Administration and Policy, and MPhil from University of Western Cape. 19 years experience, 2015 to date, Special Advisor to Minister of Public Enterprises, 2014 to 2015, Executive Director, Human Science Research Council, 2011 to 2014, Special Advisor to Public Service and Administration, and also DG in Free State Premier's Office, 2009 to 2011, Lecturer, VETS, 2005 to 2009, Deputy Director General, SASSA, 2002 to 2005, Director, Public Finance, National Treasury, 1997 to 2002, Deputy Director, Policy and Planning, Gauteng Department of Health. The candidate produced and published research papers in journals. They have not been indicated, the number has not been indicated. That is what has been captured. This concludes, Chairperson, the 8 candidates that has been that are being recommended. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you so much, Advocate Tau. Honorable members, here's the presentation, or here are the presentations. I'm happy to take comments. Please just shout that we are not many. If you want to comment, I'll write your name, then you have a go.
Chairperson?
Yeah. Yes, Honorable Joseph. Okay, you are number 1.
Abraham. Joseph and Abraham are Bible words, eh?
Oh, okay. Are they what? Are they both in Old Testament? Okay. Who's next? Honorable members, can I've got Honorable Joseph and Honorable Abraham. Are we still all connected, Honorable members? Want to get your views?
I got lost, I'm back.
Honorable Peter, so but you heard the question, eh? Oh,
I'm here, Chair.
Yes, Chairperson.
I'm inviting comment. So please, Gogo, please mute.
So sweet.
And who else after Honorable Peters would like to have a bite?
Muletane.
Honorable Mletsane is number 4. Honorable members, I'm still inviting you. I want to get all the views. Honorable Louis, are you there?
I'm here, Chair. I'm just waiting to hear the debate, and then I'll let you know if I want to come in and, afterwards. But nothing for now.
Okay. Thank you. I think that takes care of all of us. Honorable Joseph, please go.
Thank you, Chairperson. My question is that we were presented out of all the candidates that applied, the 53, and coming down to the 13, the breakdown coming down to the 13, we were presented the criteria, and of the 13 candidates that were presented to us on the A list that are suitable. I'm sure that suitability is in line with the advertisement. Hence, that's 13 names of suitable candidates. Now that we receive a recommendation for 8 names, my question is, what makes the 5 candidates not recommended? What makes them now not suitable in terms of the advert? what distinguished them from the 5 from the 8 recommended, and what makes the 5 candidates not suitable in terms of the minimum requirements, the skill requirements, and the attributes according to the advert placed. Thank you, Chairperson.
Okay, just advocate and the team, you must just note the questions. I would like to invite Honorable Abram to come in.
Okay, thank you so much, Chairperson. I share the same sentiments with, oh my God.
Go.
I share the same sentiments with Honorable Joseph, and I think we just need to just get info as to what is it that needs them to be left out in terms of shortlisting, because we have to be clear in our minds, because the work that is being done here is work that is being done on our behalf, all of us, and therefore we have to be able to wholly take responsibility for what has happened. Secondly, Chair, for me is the identity. Have we been able to positively identify our candidates? I'm asking this question in view of the fact that we have been exposed in some areas for having taken in quite senior positions people who are not necessarily South Africans, although they might have South African IDs. So we just need to be clear on that, so that the necessary kind of check be done on the prospective candidates. And just lastly, Chair, on the summary, the summary of the spread. For example, how many females have been shortlisted, how many males, and so on and so forth. Just a summary of who we are dealing with and who we have taken out of the race. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Peters.
Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you to the presenters for the information. I would also want to join Honorable Joseph's in requesting for more details with regard to the 13 vis-a-vis the 8, and because in my own reading, initially I thought that the 8 is all those people with what is it called, your research work and all that. And I've realized that in the 8, there would be those that don't even have one research paper listed, or maybe it has been omitted. But also that there's a bit of inconsistency. I see under Kumalo, there is just reference on the part of research work. There's just reference that he participated in the establishment of the PBO. And for me, it doesn't say much because there are different roles that people play and different activities. So it's important that we have the full details. And Honorable Abrams, I think for me there's just too little. I don't know whether our adverts or the adverts that have been released in the previous periods for different very senior positions are restrictive to women to apply. I don't know, but I always find it odd that the number of women that get to be shortlisted or that get to apply are limited. And I would recommend that the 2 women that have been identified be on the shortlist, not as a token, but the mere fact that they managed to get to that stage. But Chairperson, I also want us to recommend, even upfront, to the HR team here, that we need to get them to do the reference checks on all these candidates, but also to get the support of the speaker to do security clearance, because I would believe that it is also important for us at the point of doing the interviews that these particular issues are already attended to. And yeah, I'll leave it at that. And if I get another opportunity after the discussion, I could raise something else, Chairperson. Or maybe I can raise it now, Chairperson, if you allow me.
Please do.
Yes, Chairperson, I would recommend that we adopt the approach that has been adopted by other ad hoc committees in putting out the names of those that we shortlist for public scrutiny and for comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Peters. Honorable Mletsane.
Thank you, Chair. We seem to share same sentiments, because my comment was about that, to say that 13 applicants, they do meet the minimum requirements. But if the advocate can clarify the criteria used in order to reduce that number from 13 to 8, so that it can be very clear to us, because my understanding is that all those 13, they do meet the minimum requirements. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mletsane. Honorable Lewis, still okay? Would you like to come in?
Yeah, Chair, I just asked on the chat group that someone could please post or share the names of the 8 recommended candidates so that we can just see them. But also, Chair, I mean, I'm in agreement with all of the other colleagues, and maybe just to move the discussion forward and to make a recommendation, if colleagues are happy to consider a recommendation at this stage. You know, I'm very impressed with the quality of the applications that we've received in that list of 13 people. It's very high quality applicants and excellent South Africans. And it's already going to take us probably a full day to interview these applicants, and it's not going to add that much more time to just keep it at the 13. So, you know, if we are worried about excluding anyone who is genuinely excellent, maybe we should consider to just interview all of them, the 13. Chair, thank you.
Thank you, all members. If I may join you, let me start by thanking the support team led by Advocate Tau. I think there's quite a lot of work which has gone into what we are dealing with today. Thank you very much, colleagues. My first question will be, broadly speaking, there are 24 candidates which have been disqualified, which didn't meet the minimum requirements. If you could broadly just say that these were the things that they were not qualifying, which was making them not qualify. Don't go candidate by candidate, but broadly speaking, what was disqualifying them? And then without preempting Advocate Tau, 13 candidates met the minimum requirements. And what the team has done is to say, these are the best of the 13. And that can be very subjective. Hence, you have got all the names of the candidates. The the honorable members are also welcome to look at all the candidates in the list of 13. And if perhaps there are other candidates there that you think are better than the others, because really we can't interview 13. We can't interview 13. In other instances, you'll have about 500 people applying, and you just have to end up interviewing 5. It's not a perfect science, but I think, Advocate Tau, you must just say these were the best, and why do you think we're the best of the 13? But having said that, I want to stress this one: the oral members are still welcome to chop and change in the list of 8. 8 is quite a big number. Oral members would know that myself and Honorable Peters were involved with a similar process. I think we had 6. We ended up interviewing 6 candidates, and it took the whole day, and it's quite a strenuous process. But I'm just saying that we need to come up with the best of the 13. I think that's what one is talking to. I just want to also to know that of the 37 candidates that applied, how many were females? How many were the females? Because I think, Honorable Peters, we may be dealing with a bigger problem here, and I think as government we need to deal with, because for instance, in the last interview that we got involved in, which was publicized, of the Auditor General, of the 7 that were shortlisted, there was only 1 female which was shortlisted. It may be saying something about the environment in which government environment, and why female candidates are not very much keen to participate in our processes. I think, honorable members, it's a bigger issue which I think government must deal with. In this country, the majority of South African citizens are female, but now when you have got these lists, then they definitely don't reflect that. There may be a bigger problem that we may need to attend to as government. But the question there for me was, out of the 37, how many were females? Because I think we need to make a point as far as that's concerned. Honorable members, we want to run, if you look at it at our minutes, we said our process should be transparent. So I would like to support Honorable Peters that once we finish with our list of the candidates that we want to interview, the South African public must be told these are the people that we are going to be interviewing, and then even call for comments. I know again that when we were dealing with this, we started having people now motivating against the candidate. If I like Honorable Joseph as a candidate, then I go and so on. Whereas that was not what we were calling for. We were more calling for suitability or unsuitability of the candidates. I think we'll have to go through that process, and Advocate, it would also be helpful to also interact with your colleagues who are supporting the committee which is dealing, the ad hoc committee which is dealing with the appointment of the Auditor General, so that you can just share notes as to how we go about as far as that is concerned. Honourable members, those will be my comments, and Advocate, we are free to come in and respond to the issues which have been raised by the honourable members.
Thank you, Chairperson. Let me start with the question that you asked: why some candidate? What made candidates not to qualify? As we were, Chairperson, looking at the CVs, we had to check whether the candidate has got the minimum requirements in terms of qualification. Now, if you don't meet the minimum requirements in terms of qualification, then you are out. That is the first thing that would disqualify candidates. So the second one, if you have the minimum qualification, but you don't have the minimum required experience, then you are also out. Those were the two things that were applied, Chairperson, to disqualify candidates or to say they don't meet the requirements, because disqualifying might be sounding harsher. But the candidates who did not make it into the 13, you may find that some did not have the required qualification or did not have the required experience. And we do have a document to that effect. I must just check with my colleagues if that document has not been shared with the members. And I think it needs to be shared with honorable members so that they can satisfy themselves. And we have also shared the documents of all candidates with the members so that where maybe we might have add or made a mistake, the members can also just come in to say, but this candidate, the way we have assessed, meet the requirements. I think that there is a document to that one. I will just request Estelle and Lubabalu just to check if it's available, then we can make sure that it is also distributed. Now, coming to the question, Chairperson, what made the 5 candidates that are not in the top 8? I would want, with your permission, Chairperson, go through the 5 candidates so that we can indicate as to why they did not meet the requirements. What was guiding was the fact that some of them did have the minimum qualification, but when you look at the number of the years and also the research output, I think that is where they were lacking. They might have the minimum, but no research output. Then another question, I think it was about Mr. Kumalo. There was a question as to the research output is not indicated. When you look at this candidate, in terms of qualification and experience, he is stronger than the 5 candidates that have been left out, but among the top 8, he is weaker in terms of research output. You will realize, Honorable Chairperson, that not all the candidates that are in the top 8 do have research output. So just to explain that one of Mr. Kumal, that I would say he is weaker in terms of research output among the top 8, but when I'm going to look at, to discuss the top, the last 5, you will realize that he will be seen to be a bit stronger. Then the other question I think that members raised was that the issue of the clearance should be done before interviews. Actually, that is what the advert is saying. And we believe we will be able to go through that process. And the issue of public scrutiny, Chairperson, this meeting is open. I believe it's being broadcasted. I must just confirm with colleagues from PCS, Public Communication Services, even if it's not live, but it is available to the public, which means the members of public have access to this meeting and they know or they see what the subcommittee is doing. Chairperson, let me also the issue of gender spread of the qualifying female candidates, all of them are shortlisted. They are stronger in terms of one has got a PhD, another has got 2 master's degree, even though she does not have the research output. But in terms of experience and qualification, she is meeting the requirements. Remember, the issue of research output was not in the advert, but we used it just to rank them to see who is stronger when they all meet the minimum requirements, Chairperson. And with your permission, let me now go to the 5. Mr. Nodada or Estelle, Are you able to share that screen again? The very same screen where we had the top 8, just below it, the 5 candidates are also captured. If you can just scroll down, yeah, just go down. Yes, oh, thank you. Yeah, we have there's still an African a male with South African ID, MCOM degree, University of Cape Town, with 12 years experience, and he had produced 4 articles. We also indicate how he came, we came to the 12 years of experience. But up there, we also have the other candidates that do not have research output. So in terms of research output, Chairperson, I would agree with members that this candidate may qualify to go into the top 8, but then that would mean we'll have 9 candidates. But I think the members will engage on that one. And then we have Stuart, white male, ID, MCOM, University of Stellenbosch, 13 years of experience. The candidate that does not have research output like this candidate has got more years, that is 14. So the 2 candidates, Stuart and Densil, could not make it because of experience into the top 8, but members can still consider whether they need to be included into the top 8. Mbanjwa, can you just scroll up, colleagues? With MCOM, University of Cape Town, 12 years experience. The candidate does not have a research output. The only weakness was that there was one candidate with more years of experience, that is 14. And then Ngobeni, MPhil in taxation. The candidate has got 11 years experience, also did not include the research output. The candidate was not in the top 8 just because of that experience. And then it is Mpangwa, MPA, Mankosa, and BCom honors. The candidate has got 10 years experience, but not a research output included. So that is the 10 years that was outweighed by the other candidate who had 14 years experience. These are the details, Chairperson and honorable members. I will hand back to you, Chairperson, for guidance and also indication as to whether I responded to all the questions.
Honorable members, thank you so much, Advocate Tau. Any follow-up inputs after the advocate's input?
Chairperson?
Yes, Honorable Joseph.
Chairperson, thank you. I note what the briefing is, and I know that the minimum experience is 10 years. I would like to suggest that that we start at 12 years, because it appears also that the minimum says 10 years, but it appears that experience, if one look at all the experiences of the candidates, that we have to maybe on other competencies they are very close, equally competent, but we sometimes have to use criteria, to separate candidates. We can't interview all the candidates. I understand that. So I would like to propose that the candidates with 12 years experience, which is a significant experience, and it's 2 years above the minimum, that they be included to the list. I know the concept of research papers and no research papers. The key performance areas only refers to research and analysis. So I understand that the advocate and his team have experienced how to determine research itself in research papers. So I leave that to them with their expertise. But I would recommend that the candidates with 12 years experience be added to that list of 8. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, honourable members, before others come in, I don't want us to change the rules of the game as we go. If you remember, initially there was a 12-year experience, and we changed that. If you go to the minutes, and we said 10 years minimum. That's one. Two, I think one other very important criteria that we also put is at the level at which, because this is a leadership position, this is an administration position, that at what level as a candidate operated at before. This is at the highest level. You're operating with Parliament, advise Parliament on a number of things. So that's also very, very important that you look at that. And lastly, I just want to check with members that do we agree that the maximum number that we can interview, it's 8. If you agree with that, I would then say to the honourable members, please, as you suggest that we should add so and so, whatever reason, also suggest who are we taking out. Who wants to come in after Honourable Joseph?
I'll come in, Chair.
Honourable Lewis.
Chair, I'm not committed to the idea that we can only interview 8. I understand that you have to draw a line somewhere, but you know, 8 is just as arbitrary as 5 or 10. You know, we can just pick a number, and so I think what we should do is pick the number based on how many excellent candidates that we have, rather than anything else. So, you know, I think that if there are 1 or 2 additional excellent candidates from the 5 who have now been excluded that people feel strongly should be interviewed, then I don't think that we should shy away from interviewing those people. So I would motivate for that, Chair.
Hugh was the next note, Honourable Tolo.
Yes, Chair, it was me. So let me see if I can't also show my face. Okay, thank you, Chair. Chair, my first take would be on the issue of the research requirement and whether it was clearly put in the advert. And I think, Chair, my view is that in a day, probably, we could deal with 4 or 5 people, and therefore I would like to agree with Honourable Lewis. However, Chair, your point in saying that we must be able to make a decision as to who do we take out if we take in 1 more, because, Chair, we might be faced with a problem where we have issues with decision making in the process, you know, because at the end of the day, we have to take people out. We do have to take people out, and therefore we need to be bold enough to say, if we feel strongly about candidate number 9, then let's take out this particular candidate. However, Chair, we don't really have to do that. As I was saying, my sense is that what Lewis is raising it carries a wait for me. My second area to comment on for me, Chair, is the pictures of the candidates. I know that when people apply, they attach their pictures. I don't know whether we are at that stage, Chair, or am I too forward? Maybe that stage is the stage of the interviews. I'm not sure, but it's always an advantage to know the not to know as in having been introduced or knowing, but just to have a picture of the person that you are shortlisting, because sometimes we can shortlist a person and the same person is in the police file, is wanted by the police. So we need to clear those things and be able to confidently say we have decided on a particular route. Lastly, for me, Chair, I am hoping, I don't know, maybe I'm jumping the gun. I wanted to talk to you before we come to this meeting. I'm hoping that we will be able to have a physical interviewing session, because there's a lot that goes on in the physical interview that we cannot pick up in the virtual. And therefore, as we speak, Chair, we must make a decision. I don't want to mimic your arrangement in the AG interviewing panel, but for us in the Eastern Cape, before you go to Cape Town, you have to go to Joburg first. And I hope that's the case for Mpumalanga and Limpopo. So, yeah. Thanks, Jay.
Thank you, Honorable Nokolo. Next, who wants to come in?
Muletsane.
Honorable Muletsane.
Thank you, Chairperson. I understand that maybe interviewing 8 people might be strenuous to go through that process. But at the same time, we shouldn't deny people who really qualify an opportunity to go and present themselves and for the interviews. I'm not actually rejecting to reduce that number to 5 or 6, but I'm saying we must try to be fair as far as possible. It's just that our candidate is so disappointing to see that the females they didn't make it. Those who applied they didn't qualify. It's only 2. I still want to support what the former colleague said about the 2 ladies, to say really they must be there for the sake of being the she. And I think the issue of clearance, we might reduce the number to 5, and then others they don't make it from the clearance, whereby we might find ourselves again, the number will be reduced again. I wonder whether can't we allow this clearance part, so that the technical team that is assisting to try and speed up that process, so that we can see maybe how many will pass that process, so that we can also assist us. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable. Any other input?
Chairperson.
Yes, Honorable Peters.
Chairperson, I propose that we accept the 8 as suggested, because of the motivation that was made with regard to the 5. I I shuddered. Maybe I am too cautious about this process. There's already from the five that I actually felt that that five was sufficiently looked at, despite I don't think, Honorable Josephs, the fact that the minimum requirement was put at about 12 years, it therefore means that everybody who has got 12 years experience must by necessity be on the list of shortlisted candidates. So I just wanted to clarify that. But I also want us to, over and above the reference checks and whatever, there is also the issue of the qualifications checks. Chairperson, you would remember there was questions raised about some of the internationally acquired type of doctorates and master's degrees. So for me, the reference checks as well as qualifications audit or checks, as well as the security clearance, will also help us to get to a point where the numbers could even go down. But I am not saying that we should use, Honorable Nokol, the experience of the Auditor General's interview process. But there was also a lot of lessons learned from that process, to an extent that even after the interviews, there were candidates who withdrew. You know, there's that type of things that you'd find that even from the 8 that we are selecting, some might later on decide based on the time lag. Remember, these people applied last year, and it's almost a year since the post was advertised. There might be some developments that we don't know. I mean, in another experience that I have once had, there was a candidate that was no longer on earth at the particular time of calling people for interviews. So there's also that particular challenge that we might be faced, taking into consideration the time lag. So I'm recommending, honorable members, that we accept the 8 and go for the public scrutiny and the comments, and then take it from there. Because I would believe, honorable members, that we're still going to have a meeting prior to the interviews. And lastly, Chairperson, I support those, I think it's Honorable Nokolo who was motivating that it must be a physical interaction. I also support that, the interview to be physically, what is it called? Yeah, physical interaction. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, honorable members. We have got a way forward as agenda item number 7, which I think will talk into all those things. What type of interviews are we going to have? Where are we going to have those interviews, and so on? Just hold on to that. I think we'll deal with those things there. I think the main. Yeah. Can I? Yes.
Sorry, after you finish, Chairperson, sorry. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All members, I think a person that we are looking for, the catch phrase is a fit and proper person who must be able to do this this work. Is a person who's competent. We want to get the best amongst the best. Of these 37 people who applied, we want to get one individual. I think all members should know that they will have to take tough decisions along the way, and having looked at the candidates, there are definitely tough decisions that we need to take. So I just wanted to stress what was said by one honorable member. But here's the question. I didn't hear Honorable Helwe saying that we must go to 5. He was basically saying that 8 is an arbitrary number. We could have chosen 5, or it could be 9. There's nothing sacrosanct about 8 that we are having. So now, can we decide on this one? Because is there anyone that I take the argument that there's nothing sacrosanct about 8. That's granted. So it's not a question of take out or bring somebody in, or let me say replacing anybody else. Is there anybody on the top 8 that we think that doesn't belong there? I no more. So all the 8 are fine. They should be there. Agreed, honorable members?
Yeah. Yes, Chairperson, I agree. But I want to say with the 5 that is excluded,
Honorable Joseph, sorry.
Stop there. Thank you.
I just want to come step by step. I'm saying, is there anyone that on the top 8 want excluded? I think
the top 8 is good, sir. The top 8 is good.
Okay, that's so. Let's
just Chairperson, just clarity.
Yeah. Yebo, Honorable Peters.
Yes, Chairperson. I just wanted to find out. I forgot this question when I was speaking earlier on. The level. How comparable is the director level, or the director position for PBO and the director level in government, as well as in local government? I just want from the advocate to help me clear that in my mind, because I remember you, Chairperson, speaking about the level at which the particular candidate will be operating commensurate to where the candidate is as at present, or the candidates are as at present. It's very important for us to have a clearer understanding at that level. Thank you. And Advocate Tawu can help us there.
Advocate Tawu, do you want to come in?
In terms of the person, because the at the senior level.
Advocate Tawu, switch off your video. We are losing you. Please switch off your video. You have got a problem of connectivity. Switch off your video to try and help.
Listen.
Are you switched off your video?
Yes, it's obvious. Yes, the video is switched off.
Okay, continue then.
In terms of the act, the person in which is in a provincial government.
I don't know what has happened. Throughout your presentation, we could hear you very well. Something else. Are you load shedding?
No, Chairperson.
Try again.
How is it now, Chairperson?
That's better. Honorable Abraham, if I break from my side, please can you chair for me?
Okay, Chair. Okay.
Please continue. No, we don't. We can't hear you. Can you try to rejoin? We'll continue. Try to rejoin. Just get out and try to come back again. It sometimes get better that way. We're just struggling to hear you. Did you hear me? Did you hear me, Advocate Tawu? Okay. Let's wait for Advocate Tawu. Can you try?
Chairperson?
That's much better.
Okay, thank you, Chairperson. Yes, my response is because the remuneration is at the senior government level, which can be the DG or the HOD. The person, when we look at least the person at chief director or above the chief director level. The advert was saying senior position. Now, if you look at the public CO, in local government, I think the municipal manager position or the CFO, that also qualify a person. And government departments also, the director, it depends on the scope of the person.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, we're losing you. Please go out. I think we get the gist of what you are saying. Oral Peters, you know at what level director in government in government is. You still have got a chief director on top of him. You still have got a DDG. You still have got a DG.
Yeah.
So for and as you know, for instance, that people will be coming to present, whether it's cabinet and so on. By and large, the chief directors and the directors will be coming to support the DG. I think, without preempting anything, director in government is definitely very far from what we are trying to do here. As we said, that you must have operated at that level to deal with parliament, to deal with members of parliament, where ministers account. You should have dealt at a highest level in government. But yeah, I think that answers you. So I think with oral members who wants to come after Honorable Peters. There's a question that and the next question that I'll be posing. Anybody else want to take a bite?
Chairperson, thank you. Dennis here. Yes. No, I want to say that of the names, of the 8 names, there is not a problem with the names that's suggested by the advocate and his team. But the question being is asked, who must the committee make the final decision on whether it should be 8 or 10 or 6? Is that for the committee to decide, or on the recommendation? And if it is, then I mean, if I look at, there's one candidate I'm looking at, say, for example, Mr. Stewart, or let me rather say, and the other candidates, when on my question, the advocate started off to say the research and the output, of the 5 candidates that is not considered. But that was, he only started to speak on one candidate. He didn't hear the other 4 candidates. It seems to me it was generally, except the other candidate, the 5 excluded, was excluded based on research and output. But the research in itself is not consistent with other candidates that's in the top 5, because they have other qualifications and other experiences that is there. So that is not a consistent motivation to exclude the other candidates. That's the point I'm making. Because, as I said, the key performance only says the research and analysis, policy making, and so on. So I think one of my other colleagues also raised that we left it up to the advocate and his team to determine the research in itself, what it should be. So I'm still of the opinion that the other candidates equally qualify for an interview, Chairperson. Thank you.
Roger, I said that I still have got other questions that I'm going to in fact, when we started, I said, look, this is not a natural science. There's a lot of subjectivity, but there was something that they used to try and get to the 8, right? We don't have a top 5. We've got a top 8. We don't have a top. The candidates who are appearing there is on the basis of the top 8. It's alphabetical, if I'm not mistaken, right? So so there are 8 candidates now, and I heard oral members, there's nobody they want to take out. Is there, of the 5 that are left out, is there anyone that we feel strongly that we want to add on the 8, and then we go 9?
It's Jordan.
Hi, Honorable Jordan.
I think all of us on this committee have worked, and you in particular, Chair, in your various positions have worked with Ian Stewart very closely over the years. And I have always been extremely impressed with his insights and expertise on the budget in committee. So I would be very keen to interview him as well.
Perfect. All members, as I said, that there's nothing sacrosanct about 8. I agreed with that. They had to be a number. So Honorable Jordan is motivating for the addition of one more person, and we go to 9 candidates. Can we live with that? And from my side, I would definitely, as I said, that the 8 was just a number. Is there anybody who will go to war if we're to include one more candidate, and it's honorable, it's Mr. Stewart?
Chairperson.
Yes.
Chairperson, I motivated for 12 years, which then would include Mr. Banjua, but the advocate did not give me, on his name particular feedback. If I can have that, then I would know whether my proposal.
Honorable Joseph, you are not helping me. There is a proposal on the table. There's a proposal on the table, and I just asked the honorable members that there is one of the candidates that is being recommended is Mr. Stewart, and that will take us to 9. Can we agree on that, honorable members?
Chair.
Who am I talking? Who's that?
Muletsane.
Honorable Muletsane, please come in.
Thank you, Chair. The number was 13.
Yes, sir.
It was reduced to 8.
Right.
That 5 that has been excluded, all of them they qualify. But understanding the procedures of interviews, you have to reduce the number. You must use some technicality in order to try to reduce the number for the interviews. Now, if we say that this 5, then it was excluded, even though they qualify, because of the technicality that has been used in order to try to reduce the number. If you single out one person, then you bring them back to say that must go to 9. Why about that 4? I will go for that. We remain with that 8, rather than saying because that person. How do we say that this one compared to other 4? Remember that sometimes we'll have those personal interest in a person. So here we must treat them as if we don't know them. We must be neutral when we deal about these people. So now I will say that let us stick to that 8, and then we interview that 8, and agree that 5 we managed to get a way of saying that okay, yes they qualify, but we understand that we cannot interview 13 people because just to reduce that number. So now we'll stick to 8. Thank you. That's my recommendation.
Yes, I am.
Chair.
Because the
Chair.
Yes, that's speaking.
It's Abraham speaking, Chair. Can I speak?
Please.
Okay. Chair, I don't know if I will not be delaying the meeting, but I have a sense that somehow, appreciating, of course, the presentation that was made to us on all the candidates, but I have a sense that we don't seem to know and confidently stand our ground on the 8. And therefore, I would like to propose that we go through them one by one so that we are able to satisfy ourselves that it is indeed what we are looking for. It might not take long because we already have done that to a certain extent. Because if we are happy with our 8, then we will not need the 9th. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Abram. Any other taker?
Comrade Chairperson.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Honorable Chairperson.
Yeah.
Honorable Chairperson, I think we're still going for the public scrutiny. We're still going for the clearance and all those type of reference checks and whatever. I've got an intruder. We're still going for interviews. So, Chairperson, I suggest that we take the Mr. Stewart, let it be 9, and let's go on.
Yeah.
What a sweet baby. Go Peters. Hello, my sweet son.
Thank you.
Hello, beautiful. Hello, beautiful.
Okay, on that note, Chair, I will withdraw because I see that Honorable Peters is fighting with the whole family included in the fight.
Yeah, I think I always say to other members that with these visual meetings, we must know that we are intruders in other people's space. So we should not be too strict with these things. We are intruders ourselves, not the other way around. They are not in Parliament; we're in their space.
Correct.
Yeah.
I think, listen, we must refer to her in future not as Honorable Peters, but Honorable Gogo.
Can I?
Then we'll have 2 Gogos.
Yeah, I don't mind. Thank you very much, Honorable Williams.
Honorable members, look, and I just want to appeal to you that we are still going through this process. These names when we deal with the way forward, I want us to take them out. You may see there can be others who are going to fall by the way and so on. I'm not very much worried. I hear you, Honorable Letzan and Honorable Abram. I really appeal to you. Let's live with the number 9. Let's live with the number 9 and.
Sure, thank you, sir. No, I'm in persuaded.
All these.
Yeah.
Yes, Honorable Joseph. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I accept. I accept. I didn't get a seconder for my proposal on the 12 years, so I accept that.
Yeah. Come again. Can we?
I said the proposal for 12 years, but I accept I didn't get a seconder, so it falls off. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Honorable Mletsane, I heard you, and if you can bear with me, I want us to proceed with the 9 candidates. I've got a sense which says that we won't interview 9. Let's do that. So can we live with that, honorable members? Thank
Chair.
Thank you.
Happiness, Chair. Happiness.
I hear you, Chair.
Okay, thank you so much. Honorable members, so we've got we've got 9 candidates. Is the advocate back?
I'm back, person.
Okay. Now, so that we capture this correctly, we've got a list of 8 plus 1, right? Just for completion, can you read the list that we are saying now? This list, honorable members, is the list that we are going to take. You'll see when you talk about the way forward, we are going to take this list to the joint committees and say, this is the process we have gone through. These are the people that we are going to be interviewing. You remember, that's how it should go. Okay, so so we still have got that duty to go and report to someone. Advocate, let's complete the picture. Just put the list that you are recommending.
Thank you, Chairperson. Can you hear me?
Very well, thank you.
Okay. I'll request Mr. Nod or Estelle just to list Chua DF,
Right.
and the next one, you may scroll.
Yeah.
It is MG's DG, K with L. The third one. You may scroll down.
Please scroll down while we are still having advocates here before it disappears.
And then we have Kumalo B. We have Mohammed S.
Let's go.
And then we have Mostert JW.
Right.
Number 7. We have Orlandi N. And then number 8, we have number 8, we have, I think it's Mr. Blakis. And then
it's Dr. Blakis.
Dr. Blakis, yes, my apologies. And then the members have added Mr. Stewart as the 9th candidate. We will capture that name under 9. That is Mr. Stewart IC.
Thank you so much, honorable members. That summarizes our agenda item number 5. Then, in fact, that was number 6. It's 5 and 6 that we have just finished. Now let's deal with the way forward. I just honorable members, that one thing I've just alluded to it. I want to check whether that's your understanding. That now that we have got shortlisted 9 candidates, we must take them back to the joint sitting of the 4 committees and say to them, here are the shortlisted candidates, and obviously we'll say how we arrived at and give them the whole picture. Is that your understanding?
Muletsane?
Honorable Muletsane?
I think it's correct, Chair, to do it that way. Remember, our mandate is to say we are going, rather than working as a big team, we were chosen to go and do the work on their behalf, and we'll always come back to them and report about the progress. So I agree with you to say that we need to go back to them and tell them how far are we so far and the names that we have identified for interviews. Thank you.
Agreed. In fact, I think that's, yes. I think that's how it was.
That's progressive, Chair.
Yeah.
That's progressive.
Okay, thank you. Agreed.
Chairperson?
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
Just a point of clarity, Chairperson. It is a public meeting, and I just wanted to know the shortlisted candidates in terms of the process of checking their records and preparing for interviews. I think a letter can go to the other committee chairs just to inform what the subcommittee is doing. So I mean that can happen to broader committees. But my question is, will the investigation into the records of the candidates run concurrently with while the candidates interview set and preparation. So by the time the candidates come to the interview, that reports is available to be handled. Thank you.
Yeah, what my dear and Vescap, you are all cutting today. I don't know what's happening. Is there load shedding there today? Yeah, because usually
sometimes yes. Yeah.
I'm saying today, usually we are very clear from your side. No, okay, we'll come to that. I just wanted us to tick this box that, and I think Honorable Muletsane came in that with the list now, that we need to take it to the joint sitting of, and I think that's our understanding. Can we agree on that? And I think we are agreeing. But before we go to other things, I wanted now to say that's number one as far as the way forward is concerned. Number two, advocate. There's a document that you sent to us, the draft program appointment of director, But before we do that, let's deal with the screening. What are we saying about the screening of the 9 candidates? Is there anything which stops us from now to say whether it's state security or people who are verifying the qualifications, that they can start doing that so that we are able to do these things parallel? Is there anything which stops us from doing that? Can we continue and do that in the meantime? Honourable members?
The sooner the better, Chair.
Okay.
Chairperson,
yes.
is there anyone in the administration that can clarify the process, or is it up to the committee to clarify the process?
No, we're defining the process for them. They must do what we're saying. So I just want to get the feeling of the honourable members that these processes will start, so that we don't wait for the meetings only then that they start. There's nothing wrong about getting these verifications. Agreed?
Chairperson?
Yes.
Well, I've asked this question earlier on, but I'm also aware that been involved in this process myself before, is that it can even take up to 3 months to get. That's why I've asked, can the administration guide us, because it can take up to 3 months to get security clearance on certain candidates. We don't want to prolong the process, so can the administration just help us there? Thank you.
Okay. Any other?
Chairperson, I saw a hand.
Yes.
I see a hand, Chairperson.
Yeah. But before we answer Honourable Joseph, I just wanted to check from. We'll talk about whether it's doable or not. I'm just saying, is there anybody who's against us starting that process now? No. Okay. So we are saying that you must start with the process of verifications now and clearance now, right? And now perhaps can the support staff answer to the question raised by Honourable Joseph? And I think more than anything else, he wants to check how long can it take, or will it take to get these clearances? Shanaz?
Chairperson, good morning. Chairperson, can I just make a comment? And I just want clarity for myself. We have 9 candidates that have been shortlisted, and I have the names. I trust you can hear. Everyone can hear me.
Yes.
I just have a first, so that you're going to take names to the joint standing of the 4 committees. Yes. Now, what I want to ask is, it's not a problem. We can start, as HR, we can start the verification right now. You know, once this meeting is done, we with committees, we'll contact the candidates, we'll get the information, get the consent. But I just want to clarify, so these are, what if there's a change at that committee? I'm not saying there will be a change. That would be my point of clarity. Other than that, from a verification of qualification, we can, as soon as we get the consent form of the candidate, we can start. And the committee section, generally, they also get the security clearance from the Parliamentary Protection Services, which is the local clearance. And then, Chairperson, you would have been involved with as a member of the ad hoc committee for the appointment of the AG. The Parliament has engaged formally with state security in that particular process, and I saw communication this week that they are waiting on the report. So we started that process last month. So you're quite right, to the member who raised, it can take some time, but I think there's communication between Parliament and the Minister in terms of prioritizing the vetting in that regard.
Okay, does that help, honorable members? Anybody wants to come in?
Can I just ask, Chairperson, why these candidates need a security vetting? Because they don't have access to any classified or secret information. So my understanding is they just need to go through a verification process to check that their qualifications are real and that they are who they say they are, check their IDs, check that they are citizens and so on, but not a full-on security clearance process like happens with people who are appointed in the security cluster.
Advocate Jenkins, do you want to come in?
Yes, Chairperson. I hope I'm audible.
Very well.
Chair, three things. While it's on my head, we had that. I'm not sure, maybe some members heard the speaker and the discussion in Programming Committee last week. And as Honourable Peters would know, there are some issues with the timing of security clearance for the candidates for the AG, for the Auditor General, and that came up in the Programming Committee, so that can take a little bit longer. And it's, of course, out of Parliament's hands. It's with the security establishment. Why do we do that? I think there's a requirement in terms of the regulations of the Intelligence Services Oversight Act that requires all people working for government to be security cleared on various levels. Parliament, we are cleared, including myself, at a top secret level. Why it's necessary, I also challenged that because I don't have access to confidential information, but that is the rule as it stands. So for the director of the PBO, that rule will also apply. You'll have to get security clearance, notwithstanding whether you have access to or direct access to these documents. And Chair, lastly, the third point I wanted to make, the subcommittee can only make recommendations. I put something on the chat line earlier when the committee started. So when it comes to the shortlist, Chair, my view is that the committee should report back to the 4 committees who establishes the subcommittee and just say, we recommend that this is the shortlist and these are the people who didn't make it in the shortlist. Because the committee itself can't take decisions. You can only make recommendations. The subcommittee, my apologies, the subcommittee can only make recommendations. I hope that's of some assistance, Chair. Thanks.
Okay. So Nance?
Yeah, Chairperson, thank you. Well, also, and I've just checked in on the advert, when we advertise for the direct parliamentary budget office, we did indicate in that advert that the person must have a positive security clearance, including that of the SSA as well. So candidates were informed at the beginning of the process.
Okay, that's fine. I think thanks for that clarification. I always say on these matters, it's always better to err on the side of caution. So, but I think now that advocate has just clarified that it is a requirement. So, and the applicants were made aware of that requirement even from the word go. So I think let's continue. If the committees, joint sitting of the committee decide on adding or subtracting from the list, I don't think that would have done anything wrong by starting the process of verification. So I would say let's continue and with that process. So I think that's that out. Can we then agree that we start with that process right away? Honorable Joseph, yeah, I see.
Yeah, no, Chairperson, I think I've listened carefully to what the advocate is saying. And if we give the mandate to the administration because obviously when they start doing the clearance, they will inform that candidate. And to inform the candidate, and then afterwards be told by our bigger committees that the name has been taken off could also bring another challenge, a legal challenge. If you inform a candidate and then afterwards told that that the final committee is not considered if taken off. So I'm cautious that we perhaps just pause and just work out when we can get approval when the administration can get the approval to the final approval to continue with the security clearance process, Chairperson.
Colleagues? Members?
Chairperson.
Aye, Honorable Peters.
Chairperson, I think the report that we're taking to the bigger joint committee or to the joint committees would be a report that speaks to all the things that we have agreed upon here, including what we're requesting should be done. So I think for now, we understand that everything that we are doing is in preparation for the report that we will present to the bigger committee. And it is out of the bigger committee that the names will be publicized. The potential candidates will then be asked for agreement and all those type of things, and all other matters will follow. There are certain processes, Honorable Dennis J. Josephs, that will then run concurrently. So I think it is important that we understand we are not under an illusion that we are the final decision makers. We know that we are recommending. So we're saying the strength of our recommendation will then also expedite the work of the joint committees. Thank you.
Okay. So I think what we are then saying, honorable members, that nothing should happen until the joint sitting of the committees. I think that's what it is. Let's wait with everything else. The next step is to get the joint committee sitting, and we take all the recommendations to the committee. I think factoring what has been said by the two honorable members now. Okay. Any counter proposal to that? So we need to, as a matter of agency, to get. I know when we are in recess from Parliament, we may have to ask for a special permission to meet, so that we fast track this process, and then so that the other processes can move. Am I summarizing you correctly, honorable members?
Yes, Chairperson.
Yes, Chair. I was going to get to exactly the point that you are raising now, as to the time frames. What is the expectation? We understand that we might not be able to determine the security checks and all that, but in terms of our own planning, what do we think when do we think we can estimate the meeting of the bigger team, the bigger committees, and maybe still estimate as to, because now thanks to the team of the advocate, a lot of work has already been done. So the next thing is to brief committees, and finally have the interviews. What are the time frames in terms of that? Can we talk to that?
Honourable members, can I ask okay, honourable members, there is a draft program that has been sent to us. Appointment of Director, Parliamentary Budget Office. Do we have that? Right. Please try to access it, and then I will request the Advocate Tao and his team to take us through, so that, because there are some indicative dates there. Advocate Tao, do you have that?
Thank you. Mr. Nodata or Estelle, are you able to share the draft program? And with your permission, Chairperson, I will allow him to speak to it.
Okay. Okay.
Hello, Chairperson.
Yes, please continue.
Okay, it's Luabalo here, Chairperson. Thank you, Chairperson. Chair, I would like to apologize. I don't think we did send this copy to members. I think we sent it to you only, Chairperson, for you to consider it. So I'm gonna, in the meantime, ask Estelle on that side to send it to all members and other colleagues, Chair. Whilst I'm going through it this side.
Okay, do that.
Okay, thanks, Chairperson, and apologies, honorable members. Honorable members, today it's Friday the 4th. The committee has just concluded the shortlisting parts of the candidates. So we are proposing that the next meeting be next week on Friday, the 11th of September, wherein the subcommittee now will be presenting the names of the shortlisted candidates and also the other processes going forward that have just been discussed now, including the issues of vetting. We are proposing that maybe that meeting should start should sit at 9 o'clock even next week. However, because the NA is on recess, then we'll have to submit an application for the committee to be allowed to sit, Chair, and members. The next activity that we are tabled on this draft program is the subcommittee to sit on the 14th of September, if that is well, but that date can be changed by the committee if it is too soon, considering the magnitude of the work, wherein the committee now will be conducting the interviews of the shortlisted candidates. Then we are also proposing that the subcommittee sit again on the 18th of September to deliberate on and identify the names of the proposed top 3 candidates. That meeting we are suggesting that it should sit at from 9 o'clock. Again, because of it still falling within the constituency period, we will submit an application for the committee to be allowed to sit. This part, on the issue of verification, the subcommittee has simply just deliberated on it and indicated when probably HR and Parliament can start processing the issue of verification. So Chairperson just like summarized that this process should be put on hold for now up until the next meeting of the joint committees. Then thereafter it will kickstart. So we were suggesting that this process be conducted as from the 18th of September and probably concluded on the 9th of October. However, my colleague Shanaz has just indicated that that process can take long. In fact, I think even Advocate Jenkins has also indicated that it can take long depending on the challenges in terms of processing it. So it's difficult for us to say exactly this one will be complicated by this time. However, as discussed by the committee, it will be started immediately after the next meeting of the joint committees. So now that the joint committees now sit again on the 13th of October to consider the report from HR and Protective Services on vetting of the top 3 candidates. Then if all committees are satisfied with all the necessary issues that have to be done, then the committees can move to the last stage and individually consider the reports recommending the preferred candidate for the position of the director PBO. That is the end of the program that we are proposing, Chairperson. However, if there is any stage that the members and colleagues would like to suggest that maybe we can factor in between what we have proposed, we'll be happy to do exactly that, Chairperson. Thanks. That's all. And once again, for not sending this program well in advance to all members of the subcommittee, Chair. Chairperson, over to you.
All members, here's the proposed thing, please. But mainly for me, it's the next meeting of the joint committee, and I said when I was talking to the team that we should try from our side and finalize this process for MTBPS, because as you know, that once MTBPS sets in, we just get swamped by the MTBPS process. Can I have takers, please?
Chairperson, just for clarity.
Yeah, Bo.
No, can I speak, Chair?
Yes, please.
No, thanks. It appears that the security clearance will only be done for the final three candidates. Otherwise, we can then proceed with the other business that was proposed. I just want that clarity. Then it's fine. Fine with me. Thank you.
Chair.
Yes. No.
Thanks, Chair. Chair, mine is to okay, thanks. We do have the program now in front of us. Thank you for that. It's much appreciated. Chair, mine was to go back to my initial proposal around the meeting arrangement. Whether we shall be able to have this meeting on I see it's indicated that it will be on MS Teams. Whether we should stick to that or we go to the arrangement of the physical meeting. I'm not so sure whether we concretized that and decided whether we want to have physical shortlisting sessions, or not shortlisting but interviewing sessions. And lastly, Chair, in terms of your experience, yourself and Honorable Peters and other comrades who might have, other members who might have been part of the recent interviewing session, whether we do not need 2 days to have the interviews, so that we give sufficient time. I don't know what the setup of the interviewing is going to be, because sorry, in such significant positions, sometimes we might have to request the candidates to make some presentation, which sometimes take a bit of time. So I just wanted to check whether we should not play safe, because we have such a large number, and prepare to go to day 2. Thanks, Jen.
Okay. Before I allow other members, I think let me take care of one. I think I got the impression that we are agreeing with the physical interviews. I think let's take that one. Physical interviews. But can I allow other members to come in? Honorable members, please help. That's one. While I'm waiting for you.
I support that proposal, Chair.
Come again.
I'm in agreement. I support that.
Thank you. And then on it, whether it's 1 day or 2 days, there's just one technicality, Honorable Abraham. The technicality is that these interviews, they become public. So you don't want to give unfair advantage to other candidates who would have listened to us asking questions and so on and so forth. So that was one of the considerations, that when you start, you need to deal with these questions in one day. And if I'm not mistaken, when we dealt with these candidates, they had to be at a certain venue, and you try to make it as comfortable as possible while they're still waiting for the interview, so that there are no candidates who are having an unfair advantage. So that's the only thing. And I think what we'll have to do on that day, we need to sleep properly the day before, so that we gear ourselves. Even if we go up to 12 midnight, we are ready for that. You know what happens, for instance, when we need to pass budgets in Parliament, and Honorable Helu is asked for what to call it, when we must vote on every vote. So it's sort of something something like that.
When they ask for divisions.
When they ask for divisions, you see, so we must just
they want to divide the house.
Yeah. So I think it's let's accept it's one day. We'll go all the way. It will be physical. We'll have to get the venue which is accessible to all of us. And Johannesburg became that type of a venue when we met, because of its centrality. But I'm sure the oral members will still want to decide on that. But I think we're taking those, I'll say one day, and then we're having all of them. Can we agree on us trying to find a joint sitting of all the committees next week, as proposed here? That is the Friday, September 11. Can we at least, and other dates we can always try and be agile and flexible around them. They are not cast in stone. They are more indicative as dates. But I think what comes out here, I think Babalo alluded to it, that let's check when we present there. I think what we have agreed upon is that our first point was that all of them should go through security clearance even before but that may take long. But I think at least the qualifications. I know there's a service provider in Parliament which has got that responsibility of checking the qualifications. It's there. It's in Parliament. It's in the it's used by Parliament on all their employment things. So I think that one it's there. But I think before we interview, that one will have to be cleared out. So let's do that. I think after next week, if we get next week, I think the other stages will also be clearer to us. I just said to the team, please try to do everything before we get to MTBBS, or if we need to go there, it should be at least one engagement, and then we're done. Can we accept this as an indicative type of a program? But the firm one is where we ask the secretariat to ask for us to the joint sitting of the committees Friday next week. Agreed?
Agreed, Chair.
Yes, Chair.
Agreed. Agreed.
Agreed, Chairperson.
Thank you so much. Advocate, you understand?
I also agree.
Okay. Okay, honorable members, we then say to the staff, can we proceed and try to get permission for the joint committees to sit next week Friday on the 11th, and then in the meantime the staff will be preparing the report that will be that will be presented to the joint committees. Okay, Advocate Tao?
Noted, Chairperson.
Yeah.
We will do accordingly.
Okay. Not unless there is something that I've forgotten. And as we're saying that the list that the program that we're having here is more indicative. What we are firm on, it's tomorrow. It's next week, Friday, the 11th of September, 2020. All members, is there anything perhaps that we are leaving out? I don't want new things but in case there's something that I'm forgetting. Okay, I take it that you agree with me. Again, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you all honorable members for availing yourselves for this responsibility that we have been given. And I would just like to stress again that let's try as much as we possibly can to run a clean process, a transparent process, an open process. Then we are going to present to the joint sitting of the committee. That takes us to the end of the meeting. Thank you very much. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, Chief.
Long live the chair. Long live the Peters member, the youngest member of the committee. Long live.
Bye.
Bye, Sidi. Oh, our grand.